The Agweek Market Wrap is sponsored by Gateway Building Systems.
Welcome to the Agweek Market Wrap, brought to you by Gateway Building Systems. I'm Randy Koenen with the Red River Farm Network. We're joined once again by Randy Martinson of Martinson Ag Risk Management. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy, how's it going today?
Going good, going good. Looks like we're going to have a end the week a little softer here in these grain markets, but kind of back and forth here throughout the week.
It has been, it does look like we're going to finish a little lower. We've seen the market, we're doing this on Friday morning, and we started off not so bad in corn and soybeans, but we faded those gains and we're seeing some losses after seeing some gains on Thursday. But it does look like, again, this will be the third week in a row we're going to see soybeans lower. First one for corn, or first one for wheat in a few weeks, and again a second week for corn finishing with a little bit of losses. But good harvest progress. Forecast for rain, even though it looks like the U.S. keeps pushing the rain events back, we're seeing good rains fall in South America.
Yeah, and we also, like you said, that weather forecast for the southern plains, that Kansas wheat area, that forecast looks like that went south and west a little further even.
It did, and they keep forecasting, they keep rain in the forecast for that southwest corner and for the winter wheat areas of Kansas, Oklahoma and Texas, but it just doesn't seem to be able to get there. And it just seems like, just like us, the upper air atmosphere is just so dry that when the rain tries to come, it just evaporates before it hits the ground.
Not only that, but you look at the soil moisture maps and it's dry. That is a large area across the Midwest. I would say most of it is in almost drought conditions.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and we saw the drought monitor map came out Thursday morning, and it shows expanding drought. And you know, drought in the fall and the winter time is a good thing. It just means we don't have the snows but we're going into this after seeing this September that was the driest on record. We really do need some moisture at this point, just to even wet. The crop is coming off too dry. It would be nice to get some moisture back in that. In the fields, I mean, it's just for fall tillage. It just isn't working very good. Or for fertilizer, to be able to apply fertilizer and get that to applicated and incorporated. So it would be nice to get a little bit of moisture at this point, but yeah, it just seems like we're awful dry and it's getting tougher.
Yeah. How's harvest progress coming?
You know, for the most part, most guys that I've talked to are saying they're done with beans. There's a few, spots in fields where the low spots were green yet and the beans were a little bit too wet, so they've got some cleanup to do in some of the fields. Corn, but for the most part, beans wrapped up. Most have started corn. Moisture coming in anywhere from 13 to 15, so the corn is dry. A lot of guys talking about, the corn that's there is really good, but when they take it by planted acres, it drops the yield significantly because there is a lot of drowned outs.
Yeah, so I was going to say that, and then because of the dry August, September, the hilltops probably be suspect as well.
Yes, exactly. And we're seeing a lot of breakdown. Stock integrity starting to become an issue now. So, and especially with these winds that we've been seeing as of late, that we're seeing a lot of breaking and tipping over. So we expect it to be, maybe a little better than average on the corn side. Soybeans are probably going to come in at APH or below, but with the drop in prices the way it looks, as we've seen close to a 25 cent decline from just a week ago in soybean prices, we're likely going to see quite a bit of revenue claims in soybeans.
Okay. I know with these drop in prices too, does that indicate to the South American farmers what to plant a little better too or not?
Well, I mean, they're seeing some issues too. I mean, they've been dry. They're seeing some delayed plantings. The guys I talked to this morning basically said for the northern regions and the central and north in Brazil, if they had record planting progress, they'd be able to get the beans planted within the time frame, within their optimal planting time frame. But if they went to an average planting progress, the third of the beans would be put in after their optimal planting date, which then would also cause some trouble for the safrinha corn crop. And we likely would have a little bit lower soybean production because of the later planting.
Sure. Let's just talk about these grains exports for the U.S. Starting to pick up here a little bit the way it looks.
Phenomenal exports. We saw the export sales released Friday morning, and for corn, unbelievable number came out. For beans, it was good, and we continue to make sales. So right now, I believe the U.S. is the cheapest in the world when it comes to corn prices. We're the cheapest for soybeans, so we are drawing some attention. as far as the exports. We even had a wheat sale this week, which is something we haven't seen for a long time. They actually have one reported on the export on the news wire. So that's all good. We're seeing good demand. And that is, I think, what's helping stabilize these markets, or at least keep them from dropping down to contract lows.
Well, and that's all in the face of a higher dollar too.
Exactly. The dollar is actually what, at 3 month highs, so that's been seeing some pretty good strength. And then we look at, and that's the other part, is we're also seeing a lot of competition with other markets, for money flow. We've got gold at all-time contract highs. We've got we've got the stock market, the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 up at contract highs. So there's a lot of influence, or a lot of competition to pull money in different areas.
Yeah. What's this market looking at going forward then?
I think the big thing we're going to look at now is, just where the planting progress comes from for South America. That's going to be impact a little bit. And if it's late, if we continue to see some delayed plantings or even average planting dates, that's going to be supportive to the market, because it means that they are going to see some late planted beans and likely see less corn acres in the Safrina area. I think we're going to watch weather in the U.S., to see if we can replenish some of our soil moistures, especially for the winter wheat down south. Demand is going to be a big one short term, especially for the next month to 6 weeks. So I think that's the big things that we're going to be watching as far as the U.S. is concerned.
Do you see this market then mostly just kind of sideways, or do you see us breaking out topside or downside?
I guess I look for wheat and corn to maybe go sideways, maybe a little bit lower. But I do expect those markets will start to see a little bit of support come into play. Once the harvest gets done, I think just like last year, the bins are going to be sealed, and it's going to take more to get the grain pulled out of the bins. And that's going to be basis levels will likely improve. And I think futures are going to have to bid for it a little bit. What was interesting is we saw, bear spray or bull spreading yesterday, where we saw the corn, the front months higher than the deferred contracts for a while. That's unusual when you're at harvest, but it tells us that that they need to move some product too. And for soybeans, I think that market is in a little bit of trouble. That's the one where the fundamentals and the basically the supply and demand numbers do not look friendly for soybeans.
Do you see basis indicating that too, or not?
Not so much. I mean, because we got good demand right now, they're trying to bring beans in and get them shipped and get them in the boats and get them moved. So I think that's going to help stabilize things a little bit for the soybeans. And I expect that to kind of be as we play out until. But once we start to steer of some South American beans becoming available, then I think this market could be in a little bit more trouble.
Okay. Anything else on the grains before we shift over to livestock?
The big thing is right now is, just seeing where harvest progress is coming, where the yields come in. The combine monitors are showing good yields, but when they divide it out, it's not as good as what's being reported. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where those final yields come.
Yeah, the insurance adjusters are going to be busy.
They will be. We are, and that's part of what we do as well. And we're seeing a lot of claims coming in on soybeans and corn right now.
Okay. Livestock side, what happened there this week?
We're still trading a little bit lower in the livestock sector. We're seeing losses for the week so far. The cash market, we're waiting to see where that's going to trade. It traded good last week, so we're hoping to see it continue to have some strength. Production was higher in the crop production report for beef production for this year. They raised it again. That's a little bit negative as we continue, even though we were expecting to see lower production for 24 and 25. USDA keeps increasing it because the imported cattle coming into the feedlots, and the higher slaughter weights. We've seen slaughter weights back off a little bit, but seasonally, this is a tough time for cattle. We always see a little bit of a pull down this time frame as supplies start to build and we start to see the auction runs start to increase. And I think that's kind of impacting this market.
I was just going to say that feeder cattle runs at the local auction barns is starting to, you were seeing 5,000-6,000 head at a shot here now.
And prices are holding. You look at the cash prices that are being traded out there. This first week here, now this week right now has seen some decent market. So there's demand out there. There's plenty of feed. So the guys that are looking at getting rid of some feed or maybe moving corn through an animal to try to increase their price. So we're seeing an increase in the prices are holding up there. Futures market, on the other hand, have been a little bit struggling though.
Wildfires in Western Dakota's impacting that market at all or not?
Maybe a little bit, but even though it was as horrible as it was, it's a small area that got impacted. So it'll impact probably the price of cattle out in the western part of North Dakota. As far as the U.S., it won't probably have much impact.
Yeah, I was wondering if we're seeing some cattle run at the auction barns because of it too. Maybe moving some of that cattle without having a pasture there.
Yeah, that's going to be what we see, or the cattle move to where there is some pasture. But there's, for a lot of those impacted cattle, they've got a road to from, they've got some healing up to do after being in those fires.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Otherwise, lean hog market, anything moving there?
That market has been a little bit mixed as well. I mean, this week we're going to see, just a small change from last week. So it's trying to find its way. I think it's looking for the cattle to give it some direction, but right now it right now is searching for direction.
Anything else, Randy, that we need to be talking about here?
Big thing is look at crude. That's been under some pressure this week. That's been trading a little bit lower because of OPEC lowering their demand, or the demand side of it, and also because Israel has now said that they will not attack the oil fields in Iran. So that's pulled the crude oil market down a little bit. If we can get below $70 a barrel, it's probably going to be a buy time for producers. And then, like you mentioned earlier, the dollar continues to be strong, and that's something to keep an eye on.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Randy Martinson, president of Martinson Ag Risk Management. For markets and market analysis throughout the week, listen to your local Red River Farm Network radio station affiliate, or you can visit rrfn.com. The Agweek Market Wrap, brought to you by Gateway Building Systems.